What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Countdown Scouting Network. I'm your host, Joey Garcia, and today we are getting into the Detroit Lions 2023 NFL Draft Class. So let's get into it. With their first pick, they ended up getting Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back out of Alabama. I gave it a C plus. I thought it was a fine pick. I thought he was a top 10, between 10 and 15. I thought it would have been a fine pick for him. And he's 5'9", 200 pounds, super elusive. If you think of what James Cook was that went from Georgia, he's kind of like that, mixed with a little bit of Kamara, because I think he could end up being a pretty good receiving guy for them. He didn't get more than like 16 carries his whole college career in each game, or 16 touches even. So a little bit worried about that. He's not going to be a workhorse for you, but that doesn't really matter. They've got David Montgomery there, and I think they're going to use him a lot in two running back sets where they put him in motion and get him on jet sweeps and stuff. They're going to do some interesting stuff with this. Ben Johnson is going to do some creative stuff with this weapon, so I do like this pick a lot. They got one more first round pick. They ended up taking Jack Campbell, linebacker from Iowa. If you heard any of my other videos, you know I love Jack Campbell. I thought he was a really good linebacker. Clearly, linebacker one in this draft class. I didn't think he was going to go in the first. I thought he was going to go late or early second, but he snuck up into the first. Apparently, there were a couple teams that were looking at him at the back of the first, so they took him here. I think it was a little rich, but you're going to get a linebacker who's super instinctual. He's physical. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. You don't get linebackers like that anymore. And he's got the speed that's going to make up for it. Obviously, he's not a Devin White or anyone like that where he's flying sideline to sideline, but he's physical. He's instinctual at this size. He's got good leadership. Everything you hear is positive from him. He's doesn't really he's okay in zone coverage. You drop him in zone, he'll be fine. Um, Man coverage, you don't really want him going up against anyone other than like an average tight end. You don't want him against Kittle or T.J. Hawkinson or Travis Kelce. You don't want him against any of those good route running tight ends because he'll get diced up in man coverage. He also scraping laterally, sideline to sideline. He gets caught in blocks a lot. That's something that he's got to be able to fix at the next level. But B gap to B gap, he looks really good. All right, their next pick, Sam Laporta, tight end from Iowa. Again, another Iowa guy, but this was a really good pick. Pick 34. I gave it a B minus. I had Sam Laporta as my third tight end in this class. He's 6'3", 245 pounds. He's an okay blocker. He's not going to do anything spectacular, but he can get by as your second tight end at blocking. He's got really good hands. He's literally a big wide receiver. His run after catch is elite as well. I don't want to say he's Travis Kelce-esque because I hate comparing these guys when they first come into the league as one of these elite tight ends, but the only real knock I have about him is he's not an elite blocker. He's just an okay blocker, and contested catching is kind of eh. But he runs good routes. He does great after the catch. He's got good enough hands. I really like this pick. I think he's going to do really well year one. He might be rookie of the year now because you got those two running backs that went in the first, and then you got a bunch of quarterbacks. So he might be the best tight end of this draft class year one. That's what I want to say. He might put up the best stats out of any tight end in this draft class year one. Their next pick, I love this pick as well. Detroit's just home run hit after home run hit. I love all their picks so far. Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama. I thought this guy was going to go in the first round. I don't know why he didn't go in the first round. He's 6 foot, 195 pounds, but he hits like he's 220 pounds. He's a physical tackler. He wraps up. He's a good tackler. He's versatile. He can play up top. He can play in the box. He can play nickel. I've seen him line up on the outside before in goal line situations. He can line up all over the defense. I think some teams are going to look really stupid in a couple years when we remember that he went 45th overall. This guy is instinctual. He does everything right. He's a leader. Um, I've heard him in interviews refuse to talk about his own accolades and instead talk about some of his running mates like Jordan Battle and how well they did in the secondary. He's the total package. I don't know how he slipped out of the first round. And then in the third round at pick 68, they get Hendon Hooker, quarterback from Tennessee. I gave this an A. This is, again, another guy who's a good leader. He's got good size, 6'3", 220 pounds. He's very mobile. He runs well. He's got a quick arm, quick throw slot, so he gets the balls out quickly. He's accurate. The only thing that I would say is reading defenses might be an issue. Switching over to a pro-style system might be an issue. But, again, this is a guy that's going to come in for packages. They got Jared Goff. They still believe in Goff. This is a guy that's going to come in for packages and then eventually possibly take over for Goff. And if not, I think they're eventually going to want him to take over for him. But they're not rushing anything, and I think they can get him on the field early enough in specific packages. So he is 25 years old. That's another knock. And he is coming off of that injury. But I think he's going to be okay, and you're not expecting him to do anything year one other than learn the playbook and learn how to go through his progressions. This pick is where I just didn't really understand the pick. Again, I don't know what their vision is for it, but in the third round, pick 96, so a top 100 pick, they got Broderick Martin, the defensive tackle from Western Kentucky. I gave this pick a D. He's 6'5", 330 pounds, and he is purely a two-gapping nose guard. He does that fairly well. But there's no lateral ability. He can't, honestly, I would say lining up as a one tech is the furthest out he'll be able to go. He doesn't pass rush at all. He literally is a guy that's going to stand up and diagnose and clog the A gaps. So thought it was a little early for a guy like that, but that's me. I don't know. That's all I got to say. Right, fifth round pick. They got Colby Swordsdale, the tackle from William and Mary. This one was an interesting one to try to look up, but I had to read some articles on him, and I got to watch some of his past sets, and I liked it. I gave it a B. I thought it was better than average. It's a guy who they're going to have to work with because I believe he was a basketball player to start out. He was a basketball player, and then they switched him to tight end, and then they switched him to tackle. So he's 6'5", 305 pounds, but he's super flexible, and he's got really good feet. You could tell he was a basketball player beforehand. I think you can put 20 pounds on him, no problem, going up to the next level. He needs to work on his hands, and he needs to get his lower body. Stronger, because he struggles to anchor against bull rushes. That's going to be a lower body thing. If he can get that going, again, this is a guy who's going to be a practice squad player, and then hopefully in a couple years you're able to put him in as a swing tackle. Maybe he gets to be a starting tackle, but this is a guy who excuse me. This is a guy who they're just looking to develop and possibly swing for the fences, and I love that on day 3, so I gave this a B. All right, Antoine Green, the wide receiver from North Carolina. They got him in the 7th round. I gave this an A. I like this pick a lot. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, and he's super physical at the line of scrimmage. He's a vertical deep threat, and at 200 pounds with really good hands. He doesn't do much after the catch. He can't really run underneath routes. That's something that's going to have to be developed. But this guy could be a kick returner for you. This guy can help out on special teams as he's developing. And he can also be a guy who, while Jameson Williams is out for his suspension, you can have him playing on the outside occasionally and just get him running downfield, see if he can beat his guy, and that's basically it. So, all in all, I like Detroit's draft class. I think this is probably a top 5 draft class for me, if I do say so. I liked every single one of their picks except for the nose guard in the 3rd round. So that's it. This was a really good class. I think they hit the nail on the head with this one. I think they're gonna have a lot of guys contribute early and often in this class. So go ahead and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and put down in the comment section if you disagree with any of my takes on this. So have a good day, guys. Peace.